A man trained as a civil engineer, with no background whatsoever in fashion or luxury goods, spent 4 decades acquiring individual heritage brands one by one until he'd assembled the largest luxury goods empire the world had ever seen. His name is Bernard Arnault. Born in France in 1949, he graduated from a top engineering school and initially worked in his family's construction business before making an unusual pivot in the early 1980s that would define the rest of his career. He began acquiring struggling textile and fashion companies, seeing genuine value in historic brand names that current management simply wasn't capitalizing on effectively. In 1984, Arnault acquired a struggling textile group that included, among its various holdings, the fashion house Christian Dior. Morgan Housel has written that some of the most successful acquirers in business history aren't the ones who understand a specific product category better than anyone else, but the ones who understand something more fundamental about brand value and organizational capability, applicable across many different specific product categories. Arnault's engineering background gave him limited direct fashion expertise, but a genuinely sharp analytical eye for identifying undervalued brand equity trapped inside poorly managed companies. Throughout the late 1980s, Arnault continued acquiring additional luxury and fashion assets, eventually engineering a series of complex corporate maneuvers to gain control of Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy, a company formed from an earlier merger of the Louis Vuitton fashion house and the Moët Hennessy Champagne and Spirits Group. Benjamin Graham's investment philosophy emphasized identifying genuine underlying value that current market pricing hadn't yet fully recognized. Arnault's specific insight was that individual luxury heritage brands, each with decades or centuries of established prestige, represented significantly undervalued assets when analyzed purely as brands rather than simply as their current, often struggling operating businesses. Daniel Kahneman's research into how established organizations can become trapped in outdated operational approaches, even while sitting on genuinely valuable underlying brand assets, helps explain why Arnault found so many acquisition opportunities among historic luxury houses during this period. Many of these storied brands had built genuine prestige over decades, but their existing management often lacked the specific business discipline and capital allocation skill needed to fully capitalize on that brand value at a larger commercial scale. Robert Kiyosaki's core lesson about understanding what actually generates ongoing value applies here with particular relevance to Arnault's specific strategy. Rather than building new brands from scratch, he recognized that acquiring and properly managing already established prestige brands, each with genuine, difficult-to-replicate heritage and customer loyalty already built over decades, represented a more reliable path to sustained value creation than attempting to build equivalent brand equity from nothing. Over the following decades, Arnault's LVMH conglomerate grew to include dozens of prestigious brands across fashion, jewelry, watches, wines and spirits, and cosmetics, including Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, Tiffany Co, Bulgari, Moët Chandon, and Sephora, among many others. By managing this portfolio of individually prestigious brands under a shared corporate structure, while carefully maintaining each brand's distinct identity and exclusivity rather than diluting them into a single generic corporate offering, Arnault built the largest luxury goods company in the world. By various points in recent years, Arnault has ranked among the wealthiest individuals on earth, with his personal fortune closely tied to LVMH's continued commercial success and the enduring appeal of the luxury brand portfolio he's assembled and carefully managed over 4 decades. Here's an honest complication worth including, since Arnault's specific acquisition style has drawn genuine criticism throughout his career. He earned the nickname, the Wolf in Cashmere, in French business circles for his notably aggressive, sometimes hostile approach to acquiring companies, including contested takeover attempts that drew significant criticism from some of the founding families and existing management teams whose companies he pursued, some of whom viewed his approach as prioritizing financial control over the more traditional, family-oriented values many heritage luxury houses had historically emphasized. George S. Classen's advice about recognizing genuine, underappreciated value applies directly to Arnault's specific career-long strategy. His fortune wasn't built by inventing a new luxury product category, but by recognizing that many individual heritage brands, each valuable but often undermanaged on their own, could generate significantly more combined value when properly organized and capitalized under unified, disciplined corporate leadership. This isn't a simple story suggesting aggressive acquisition strategies always succeed, or that Arnault's specific approach to acquiring historic family companies was without genuine controversy or cost to those on the other side of his takeover attempts. What makes his story worth remembering is the specific pattern it illustrates. Sometimes the most valuable business skill isn't deep expertise in any single product category, but the ability to recognize undervalued brand equity across multiple categories, and the discipline to properly organize and capitalize on that value once acquired. So here's a question worth sitting with. Is there an underappreciated asset, skill, or reputation in your own life or business that's genuinely valuable, but simply isn't being organized or capitalized on as effectively as it could be? Before you leave, I want to hear from you. Have you ever recognized genuine value in something others had overlooked or undermanaged, simply because you looked at it from a different analytical angle than everyone else had? Read a few comments before you go. Some of the most insightful stories on this channel come from people who've spotted exactly this kind of overlooked value in their own careers or investments. Next week, I'll pick one comment and send its author one of the books that inspired this channel. And if these stories help you think differently about money, you'll find a way to support future research in the description. Every contribution helps buy books, access research, and keep this content free for everyone. Remember this. Bernard Arnault didn't build the world's largest luxury empire by understanding fashion better than anyone else. He built it by understanding brand value better than the people who were actually running those brands.